Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. If you were just in my morning session with me, I apologize for the breakout, the drop off during Q&A. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are all good to go. So thank you so much for joining us here. I'm so excited for this session here. I am a super fan of Bree. She is fantastic. If you are not following her, you are going to be a huge supporter of Bree for sure. Honest teacher vibes. I'm fangirling right now. Excuse me. I know, I apologize, but we are so excited to have you here, and this is going to be great. We need a good time, Bree. We have gone through a year, haven't we?
Yes.
Yes, for sure. So, Sean, I see you in the chat. I am so sorry that I got cut from you. I apologize. But we'll be talking plenty, I'm sure, these 3 days. So, without further ado, Bree, take it away.
Hey guys. All right. So I'm so excited. I cannot believe they asked me to do the Quizlet conference. I was so excited. I used Quizlet in college to help me study. I used Quizlet to help me study for the praxis when I was trying to become a teacher. So I love Quizlet. And again, I'm so excited that they asked me to be a part of the conference. So y'all know, as teachers, we always have some kind of technical difficulty. And so this morning, y'all already know, it's like the morning of an eval or the morning of informal evaluation, and your principal comes in, the projector don't work, the internet don't work, your kids come in and they're crazy. So I had all kind of foolish craziness happen this morning when I tried to log on, or this afternoon when I tried to log on to my computer. My computer wouldn't work, then the Zoom wasn't working. I mean, y'all, it was a hot mess. I was like, you know what? I'm a teacher. I can totally handle it. So it's cool. So luckily we're used to those kind of things. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today about how to increase engagement in your classroom. That's always the big thing for us, is trying to figure out how to get our kids interested in our lessons and how to get them interested in what we're talking about. But first off, let me introduce myself. All right. So I am Brianna Richardson. Everybody on TikTok obviously knows me as Honest Teacher Vibes. The question that I get the most is, what grade do you teach? What subject do you teach? And I'm like, I probably say that like 100 times a day. And so I need to get a shirt made that says I teach 6th grade English. So I teach 6th grade English. People always ask me, did I originally set out to be a teacher? No, I actually, this is my 4th year teaching. Like this upcoming school year will be my 4th year teaching. And I actually graduated from Union University in Tennessee with a sports medicine degree. So, you know, like the little people that run out on the field when somebody like hurts their ankle or somebody gets a concussion, that's what my undergrad degree is in. But everybody knows what you go to undergrad for is, you know, you kind of get out of school and you realize, I don't really want to do that. So I kind of floundered around for a couple of years until I was asked to be a long-term sub because I was doing some substitute teaching. And from there, it just kind of, they were like, you already have an undergrad degree, you might as well go ahead and get your teaching license. So I love teaching English. It is literally my favorite thing. I remember telling them, if I have to diagram sentences and all that stuff, I ain't teaching English. And they were like, you don't have to do any of that. So, but I always tell people I went back to school and did an alternate route program. So, you know, online, on TikTok and on Instagram, I use a lot of slang. You know, I don't always use correct grammar, you know, and so every time somebody tries to give me a hard time about that, I just say, well, I did an alternate route program, so my undergrad isn't in education, which some people are grumpy and they're like, you should still speak proper because you're an English teacher. And I'm like, okay, well, I ain't. So anyway, but I'm so excited for y'all to be here with me. I hope we laugh, we have a good time. If you follow me on TikTok, you know that I'm an absolute fool and I just like to act a fool and have a good time. So anyway, all right, so you guys can go to the next slide. All right, so these are the things that we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, I am not the end all be all. I am not the end all be all to telling you how to increase engagement in your classroom. You are the professional. You know what works for your students and what doesn't work for your students. You know what works in your classroom and what doesn't work. You know your demographic of students. So you just take what works for you. And if something doesn't work, don't worry about that. And then my TikTok handle is Honest Teacher Vibes. But if something doesn't work for you, just throw it out. But I hope that you can take a little bit away from this, that you can take back and incorporate in your classroom. So obviously this is my 4th year teaching. My first year was an absolute hot mess. So if you're a first year teacher on here, friend, just know it's going to be a hot mess, and that's okay. So my first year teaching, I had no idea how to get my kids engaged in my lesson. And especially not having an undergrad degree in education and not having done student teaching and all of those things. I just came in and started teaching, and I was like, why do they not care? Like, why are they just not interested at all? And so it took some trial and error and some things for me to learn what worked for them and what got them excited and engaged about lessons. So these are the things that we're going to talk about: connecting learning to the real world, capturing your students' interest, incorporating group work. I know group work is like the phrase that we all hate, but it's a necessary evil. Give students choices, promote active learning, and allow flexible seating. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to be talking about. Again, I'm just telling you from my perspective what has worked in my classroom. Okay, but you're the professional. You know what works and what doesn't work in your classroom. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so the reason that we want to connect learning to the real world, because y'all know when our kids come in, they already got an attitude that they got to do work. They come in and their first question is, do we got to do work today? I'm like, yes, you have to do work today. You're at school. Why would you not have to do work? Like, they have an excuse for every day of the week. They come in, it's Monday, and they're like, do we have to do work today? I'm like, yes, you have to do work today. They're like, but it's Monday. I'm like, what does Monday have to do with whether you have to do work or not? They come in on Friday and they're like, do we have to do work today? And I'm like, why do y'all keep asking me this? And they're like, but it's Friday, Miss Richardson. Why we got to do work? Y'all, every single day they trying to get out of work. So they're already like sleepy or fidgety or not really in the mood to pay attention. So I have to I hate to say that it's a dog and pony show sometimes, but sometimes it is, especially when admin comes walking in unannounced. So the first thing that, your kids are going to ask is, when am I going to use this? Why do I have to know this? When am I going to use this? So that's one of the reasons why you want to help them connect their learning to the real world, for them to see why is this going to be relevant to me outside of school. Okay. So, when I was in school, it took me all the way. Somebody said, are you teaching my students? Yes, ma'am. Y'all, we got the same kids across the country. It don't matter their demographics. It don't matter their ethnicity. They all act the same. They all come in and ask the exact same question. Why do I have to know this? When I was in school, y'all, it took me until I was almost a senior in high school to recognize the correlation between what you learn in school and why you're going to use it outside of school. So I always, my kids are in 6th grade, and I always make sure that before you leave Miss Richardson's class, before you leave room 305 for the end of the school year, you are going to understand that what you're learning in my classroom, you are not learning it so that you can memorize it to take a test and forget it later. No, you are learning these things because these are things that you are going to need to know when you get out into the world and become a productive member of society. So I like to teach them, content that's relevant to life beyond school. So my kids, taught juvenile attention, told my kids reading was essential to know how to. It is essential. I'm like, what if somebody, I try to bring it to their level. So I'm like, okay, well, what if you don't know how to read and, somebody's like, or you don't know how to count, and you give somebody money to go to the store for you, and they go to the store for you, and you're like, I could have sworn that I was supposed to have like 3 or 4 items. And they're like, well, you only gave me enough money for 1 item. And if you don't know how much money you gave them, or you can't count, you're just gonna have to be like, well, okay, I guess that's how much. No, reading is essential to life. Teaching them that education is essential to outside of school, because if you're uneducated, people can take advantage of you. Okay. So one of the only things that keeps people stuck is a lack of knowledge and a lack of information. So it is very, very, very important to teach our kids, why are these things relevant to me outside of school? Why do I have to know the Pythagorean theorem? Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, I still don't know why we had to learn the Pythagorean theorem, because I don't use that outside of school, but I try to teach the kids that these things build off of each other. You may not need every single thing, but it's the collective understanding. It's the collective knowledge. You're not going to need every single thing, but you need to know a big picture, and you need to be able to analyze things and to think critically. So you want to use real life examples from outside the classroom to root your teaching in the real world. So, and you also want to help your students understand why they need to know this information. So one of my best examples that I have ever had, y'all, I had a student, obviously I cannot say his name, but I had a student who, y'all, every day he came to class, y'all, he didn't want to be there. Y'all, there was literally nothing I just felt, we have those students sometimes, I should call him Tristan. We have those students sometimes, y'all, that no matter what we do, it is like so hard to reach them, right? And so every day he would come in, y'all, and I could not hardly get him to write his name on his paper. He was just so uninterested in everything that we were doing. And I was like, and here's the reason why. Outside of school, that kid made more money than all of us as teachers. So when he didn't see the purpose of school, because, he's thinking education means I'm going to make money, but I already make money. So why do I have to know these things? And he had a roofing business he worked on roofs with his dad. They had a roofing business. And so one day, I just was like, Bree, you have got to figure out how to reach him and how to connect with him. Because y'all know, as teachers, we're always like, we have those students that we're like, I'm not giving up on you. I'm going to figure this out, because that's a part of being a good teacher. So y'all, for the life of me, I was like, Bree, we're going to figure out how to make him see that education is relevant to him. And so what I did was I just started asking him a lot of questions. And I was just like, my kids were working on like their bell work or something. And he was just sitting there, and y'all, he would blatantly sit there. Like, he would just be like, I'm not going to do no work. Like, he did not care, y'all. And so I was just talking to him one day, and I was like, yo, what do you do outside of school? So he starts telling me what he does outside of school. And I'm like, okay, what are you interested in? And he's like, well, I like this and that. And I said, okay, so, and he finally shot straight with me. And he was like, Miss Richardson, I make so much money outside of school. I don't need school to make money. I have like a particular skill that I'm good at. And my dad and I work on roofs. Why do I have to know this stuff? And so I asked him, I said, okay, so what do you want to do when you get older? He said, I want to own my own roofing company. I said, okay, bet. If you want to earn your own roofing company, let me show you why the things that you're learning in school are relevant to you owning your own roofing company. I said, so these passages and these texts that I give you to read and to comprehend and to analyze and look at specific details and find the central idea, et cetera, et cetera. I said, I'm giving you those things because you need to be able to read and comprehend. I said, when you get older and you have your own roofing company, you're going to be signing a lot of contracts. You're going to be presenting people with a lot of contracts. You're going to have a lot of paperwork. You're going to have to deal with a lot of numbers. I said, if you don't pay attention in school and you don't know how to analyze a contract and look for the fine print, and you don't know what this particular phrase means, I said, people can take advantage of you. Everybody in the roofing business is going to know if you work with this particular guy, he didn't pay attention in school, so you can pull one over on him. Y'all, I could have cried when I saw the light bulb go off in his mind. I still get choked up to this day because he was like, I did not know. I mean, like, he was, and y'all, after that conversation, he started paying attention so much more. Now, did he always come to class? No, because bad habits take a while to break. So, somebody said off topic, what's the difference? We'll have that conversation, best friend. But to see the light bulb go off in his mind. Now, you ain't gonna take a kid who's at 0 from 0 to 100. We ain't Jesus. We can't turn water into wine. But what you can do is take a kid who's at 0. You probably can take him from 0 to 10 and then 10 to 20. That kid went from 0 engagement. He was not interested. He went from 0 to about 10. And then toward the end of the school year, he went from 10 to about 20. If I would have tried to get him from 0 to 100, I would have set myself up for failure. No, some of your kids, take them a little bit at a time. Now, I know the district comes in, because y'all know the district give me heartburn as soon as they come walking in. Now, I know the district come in and they're like, well, you know, we really need to grow these students. And we really, you know, y'all, I don't know why they be doing the hand motions, but it's really irritating to me. But we really need to grow these students. And they try to make you feel like you're supposed to take them from 0 to 100. If you are a first-year teacher, listen to me. You are not Jesus. You cannot turn water into wine. Do not put that on yourself. I don't care what the district says. Don't put that on yourself, friend. You can take them a little bit at a time. Okay. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. All right. All right. So that's connecting, learning to the real world. I love y'all in the chat. Y'all are cracking me up. All right. So let's go to the next slide. All right. So here's just some examples on how to connect learning to the real world. You want to get current, incorporating current affairs into the classroom creates a more engaging lesson. So the kids, you know, sometimes they come in and there's something that's happened in the news, or there's something that happened outside of school or whatever, and they want to talk about that. If they come in and they bring a topic of conversation to me that's relevant to the time period that we're living in, and it's something that's circulating all over social media, as long as it's appropriate for school, then I will try to incorporate that into a lesson and let the kids have a conversation about that. Another way, connect learning to the real world, you need to use technology in the classroom. Now, I know it's like a huge thing. We don't want the kids on their phones, all that. I understand that. But there is a time and a place. There is a time and a place for them to have their phones out. I know that's controversial. I know. But hear me when I say, my kids, when they're doing like Kahoot, when they're doing Kahoot, or they're doing Book It, or we're playing, or we're taking a Quizlet quiz or whatever, if they can have their phones out, they are so engaged. It doesn't matter if they're trying to find the central idea or the theme, or they're trying to, you know, find the plot or whatever. They are so much more engaged. Now, my kids know, don't play with me. If we are doing something on our phones, let me walk past to see you on something that you are not supposed to be on. It's going to be something. Now, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. Okay. So my kids know, if we are going to have fun, y'all better be able to go from having fun back to being serious. Okay. So technology is important in the classroom, y'all, because when they get out in the workplace, they're going to have to be able to use technology. I know when I was in school, we had like a typing class and all that kind of stuff like that. And that stuff was relevant to me now because I can type very well without looking at a keyboard, right? Because we had those typing classes and those were fun to me in school, right? So you want to let the kids use technology. And now the way that schools are moving, the kids have devices, right? They're assigning them laptops and all that stuff. And so the devices are important in the classroom. You want to have devices in the classroom. But my kids know, if I see your cell phone, it's mine. Let me tell y'all a funny story real quick about technology. A kid had his cell phone out, and I told him, I said, boy, put that cell phone up. You are not supposed to have that out in class. Now, I'm one of those teachers. I'm not going to take your phone the first time I see it. I'm just not. That's just who I am. I'm not going to take your phone the first time I see it. But if I see it a second time, I'm going to take it because you know better. Because if I don't take it the second time, you're going to think that you're just going to pull your phone out whenever you want to. No, the first time, I'm going to give you some grace. I'm going to chalk it up to a little mishap and that you done lost your mind and I need to help you find it. The second time that you take your phone out, oh, no, give it to me. So I had a student who took his phone out again. I said, boy, give me that phone. So I took his phone, y'all. He got out in the hallway and he was just big and bad. And he was just telling, you know, everybody that he was irritated and all kind of stuff. And I was just looking at him because I'm like, first of all, you don't pay any bills, so I don't know who you're talking to. Second of all, you're still getting a write-up. I don't care. So he turns around to me and he says, I'll come take my phone if I want to. Baby, I looked around the entire hallway trying to figure out who it was that he thought he was talking to, because I just knew in my heart of hearts that he was not talking to me. Okay. And I promptly wrote him up again because you're disrespectful. So there are times that technology is relevant in the classroom, but them just having their phones out. No, if they have their phones out, y'all, you have to monitor. You have to be walking around and monitoring them. Okay. So another way to connect learning to the real world is to encourage group work. Now, I know when we were in school, we hated group work. The kids hate group work. Everybody hates group work. I know. But when you get out when they get out in the workforce, they are going to have to work with people that they don't want to work with. Okay. They are going to have to be in a group or on a team or whatever with people that they don't want to work with. And so we have to teach them there's a time to let them pick their groups and be with their friends. But most of the time, no, you're going to work with somebody that you wouldn't necessarily get along with, and somebody that doesn't necessarily look like you or think like you or whatnot. So encouraging group work is a good idea. Now, here's one of the things that I learned in college that I've always been able to teach my students when we have to do group work. If you do not like somebody, they should never know it. It is completely unprofessional. So you go ahead and teach them those things while they're younger, so that when they get out in the workforce, they remember in their mind. Ms. Richardson used to teach me, even if you don't like somebody, you never let them see it. Now, you know, middle schoolers, they're petty. So sometimes that doesn't work, but it's still a good thing to instill. And the reason that I learned that was because in college, you know, I have a sports medicine degree. In college, there was a person that I worked with that I had clinicals with for sports medicine, and I could not stand the sight of him. And I used to make it known that I did not like him because he was absolutely ridiculous and everybody knew. My clinical instructor pulled me aside one day because nobody had ever taught me this. He pulled me aside one day and he said, listen, I know that guy is really frustrating. I know that he gets on everybody's nerves, but if you don't like someone in the workforce, they should never know that you don't like them. It's completely unprofessional. So encouraging group work, that's another way to connect learning to the real world. All right, I'm gonna talk faster, y'all, because I feel like I'm running out of time. All right, next slide. All right, so this is a big one. Not only do you want to connect learning to the real world, but you want to capture your students' interests. What do they love? What do they talk about? If you just listen to your students in the hallways or whatever, y'all, they gonna tell you what they like because they don't ever shut up about it. They just, if I had to hear about Among Us one more time last year, Among Us stressed me out. I was tired of hearing about the imposter. I was tired of hearing about the crew. I was like, what is the point of this game? And the kids, they just loved it. Okay, so your kids will be more engaged in a lesson if it's something that they're excited about, if it's something that they're interested in. Okay, so one of the ways that I get to know what my kids are interested in is we have like a big family group discussion. And I make it known when my kids first come to room 305, we are an absolute family in here. Okay, so we love each other. We're family in here. So since we're family, let's have a big old conversation. So, and I don't let them talk over each other because y'all know how they get when they get excited about something, they get to screaming and hollering over each other. No, calm down and let's talk one at a time. So, so I let them tell me, what are y'all interested in? Y'all know 2 years ago, they loved Fortnite. Now this past year, it's everything Among Us. Like 5 years before that, they all loved Minecraft, which I never could. Y'all, I don't understand the point of these games. Fortnite is too complicated to play because the kids tried to make me play it. I could never understand what they were talking about. Among Us, I don't understand the purpose of this because you just run around this little spaceship trying not to get killed by whoever the imposter is. And Fortnite, like what's Fortnite, Among Us, all this Minecraft. I never could understand what the point of Minecraft was. Like you're just hitting blocks all day. It don't make no sense. So anyway, as much as those things irritated me, Among Us was something my kids loved. So that was like one of my number one go-tos to get my kids talking and get them engaged in the lesson. Now, one of my favorite things to do is to teach argumentative writing. I love teaching argumentative writing. I love our argumentative unit because it is the one that my kids get the most engaged in, because the topics of conversation, they are like back and forth, you know, with what their opinion is. It really, really gets them engaged and really gets them talking. So I remember one year I used, you know, school uniforms. Should students have to wear school uniforms? Should students be allowed to use their cell phones at school? I talked about like should girls be allowed to play football? I mean, all those kind of topics like that. Y'all, my kids were like, they were so engaged. And it was crazy because when the bell rang, normally my kids are like, I don't know, they're like elephants during a stampede trying to get out of my classroom door when the bell rings, which is why I'm like, sit down. I dismiss you, not the bell, because y'all crazy. But when we did that argumentative unit, they were like, when the bell rang, y'all, they were sad that it was time to go. Like, I was like, y'all, you need to, okay, guys, it's time to go. They're like, Mr. Richardson. I'm like, y'all can't stay in here with me. Y'all not to next class. Y'all know we always have those students and I'm like, I'll stay in here with you. No, I don't want you in here the class period you're in here for. I for sure don't want you in here for an extra class period. So you want to capture your students' interest. I know somebody was asking debate topics. You can Google like appropriate like middle school debate topics, but I'm telling you, cell phones in school, school uniforms, cell phones in school, school uniforms, should girls be allowed to play football? Those were like the three top. My kids loved to debate those things. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so this particular one on how to increase engagement in the classroom, my kids, they love when they have a choice at what they're going to do, right? It makes them take ownership. It makes them feel like they have a say in their education, right? So I use a strategy to help my kid to provide choices to them. I use a strategy called the PIG strategy. When I first heard of this, I was like, what is it called PIG? That is like such a weird, but anyway, I use the PIG strategy, right? So the PIG strategy is you let them work with a partner, you let them work individually, or you let them work in a group. Because some kids, you need to let them, you know, because sometimes you don't want to always put them in groups. Let them decide, do you want to work by yourself? Do you want to work individually, or do you want to work with a partner? Do you want to work individually, or do you want to work in a group? So, because some of my kids, they don't like working with other people. You know, I have like 3 or 4 kids that they just want to do it by themselves. And then everybody else, like they have a particular friend that they want to work with, or they have a group of people that they want to work with. And my kids, they know, they monitor each other, because they know if y'all start acting a fool, all y'all going back to y'all seats. So that's like they monitor each other, which I love. Another way of giving kids a choice, allowing them to sit wherever they want to. Now, this is not for partner, individual, group work. This is just giving them a choice of where they want to sit. Now, when I do this again, now they might all be working on individual work, but the fact that they get to sit next to a friend while they're working on individual work, I don't know why that works, but they do their work and they're way more engaged in the lesson if I let them sit by who they want to. Also, independent reading is a huge deal. You need to let kids choose what books they want to read. Now, I know sometimes we do whole class novels, so we can't really let them choose what book they want to read. But during our independent reading time, I always have like 10 or 15 minutes where I let the kids pick what book they want to read, and I let them read that. And some of the benefits of letting kids choose things on their own, they have a sense of ownership over their learning. They shift from a passive consumer to an active learner, and it just increases student engagement. All right, next slide. Okay, so we already talked about this one a little bit, but how to increase engagement, you want to incorporate group work. Again, letting them sit by and sit with and work with who they want to. Now, sometimes you cannot let them work with who they want to, because some of our class periods, everybody knows this. We all have that particular class that they are like our demon class, and they can't do nothing but sit by themselves and do their work. So last year, my 3rd and 4th period, y'all, I couldn't let them do nothing. Y'all ain't doing no group work. Y'all aren't doing anything these other kids are doing, because y'all don't know how to act. we all have, I know it's bad to say, but we all have that particular group of students that y'all, we can't really give them any leeway because their particular class period has so many discipline problems. No, y'all ain't working with anybody. But collaborating with other students, sometimes they love that break from working by themselves. It allows them to hear different perspectives. Again, group work replicates the workplace because they're going to have to work with people that they don't necessarily want to work with. Yes, it usually is that period before lunch and the last class of the day. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the counselors put all these, but it's always all my crazy kids in the same class. I'm like, y'all couldn't spread them out or nothing? Why y'all put all of them in the same class? Like, can we get some spreading out here? But some of my classes, and for new teachers, that's okay, friend. Some of your classes, it's okay. They are not going to be able to do what your other classes do, and that's okay. So let's see. I can't really see that. Oh, okay. I already talked about that. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Sorry, y'all. I'm kind of going fast because I want us to have time for the Q&A. So when you're doing group work, you need to be strategic when organizing your groups. Like sometimes I'll use the Kagan strategies where I'll group them. I'll kind of use, because, you know, we have like the levels or whatever from state testing or from benchmark exams. So sometimes I'll group them like that. Sometimes, again, I'll group them, let them sit with their friends, but make sure you just use your judgment as a teacher. Okay. Use your judgment because you got good judgment. I know the district try to come in and make you feel like you ain't got good judgment, but that's a lie. They ain't been in the classroom since before Jesus roamed the earth and before Moses came down off the mountain with them 10 commandments. So sometimes you just, when they say something, just let it go in one ear and out the other, because they literally come in and try to make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, when the reality is they don't know what they're doing because they haven't been in the classroom in forever. Okay. So again, avoid troublesome partnerships, allow friends to work together, can increase productivity because they're more motivated to work, because they want to be able to work with each other. And it's also a good incentive for behavior. All right, let's go to the next slide. I can't do stand up, y'all. I'm weird. I would be very weird if I tried to do stand up. All right. So active learning. This is one of my favorite things. I hated last year with COVID. I love that y'all are talking about TikTok and duets and all that stuff in the chat. It's very entertaining. I love y'all. Okay. So, my high school kids hate moving around. Well, high school kids are like too cool for school. So 6th graders, I'm like, y'all get up, we're gonna move around. They're like, yeah. So you want to get your students moving. I remember in college, they used to tell us when we were studying for final exams that it was, you know, you want to study for an hour and then go do something active, because it's like it stimulates your brain, brings some oxygen, helps you think better. So they were like, you know, if you're studying for final exams and you've been studying for 3 or 4 hours, you know, when I was in college, I used to go to the gym. I used to go to the basketball court and I would shoot for 30 minutes. That was when I was in shape. But I would shoot for 30 minutes and kind of get my blood pumping or whatever, and it would make it easy for me to remember things. So them being able to move around and them being able to be active, it helps them remember things better if they can get up and then they can move around. Now, again, you got some of those classes where they cannot get up at all, okay? Where you can't really let them move around because it causes too many discipline problems. I understand. You figure out something that works differently. Maybe they don't necessarily get up, but they, you know, you let them pass things or something. I don't know. Y'all are great educators. Y'all figure things out, and I love it. So sometimes I let the kids come to the front and work on the whiteboard. Some kid, I can always tell which one of my students is going to be a teacher, because some kids hate coming to the whiteboard. Some of my kids, man, they come up there and it's like they're teaching a whole college dissertation up there at the board. So some of the kids, you know, they like writing on the whiteboard. It makes them feel teachery. Let your kids rotate to different stations around the room, have students move from one side of the room to another to indicate their opinion on an issue. That always worked really well for me when I did the argumentative writing, because I would say, you know, if you have this opinion, go to this side of the classroom. If you have this opinion, go to the other side of the classroom. And I mean, they would just go stampeding like a herd of elephants again. But it was so fun because they were so engaged. And then when they got to the other side, and then you could hear them all talking about why they all agreed with each other on that side and why the other side was wrong. It's just so fun. Gallery walks, we put up images, we let the kids walk around, take notes on those. Think, pair, share. This is a really good technique. They stand up. You have them, think of what you asked them, ask a question, have them think of their answer. When they find their answer, you go, okay, stand up, find a partner. They put their hand in the air. Some of them, if it's just after PE, maybe put your hand in the air like this. But some of the kids, after they stand up and they find a partner, they put their hand in the air and then they high five who their partner is, and then they share with their partner what their answer is. Turn and talk is a good alternative for your students who you don't want them up out of their seats. They can just turn and talk to who's sitting next to them. 4 corners is my favorite to use for multiple choice if we're practicing state test questions, because corner 1 is answer choice A, corner 2 answer choice B, corner 3 answer choice C, corner 4 answer choice D. And it is so fun to see them, like we went over a passage, and then turn and talk is you tell them, they pick an answer and then they turn and talk to the person that's sitting right next to them. I'm sorry, I'm going fast because I only got like 3 minutes left. I'm so sorry. So 4 corners is great for getting to know you activity the first week of school. Love it, love it, love it. So I love that particular thing to help. Y'all can see the PowerPoint, right? I feel like y'all can. So anyway, 4 corners is really great. So all these are really great strategies, and you can look up, Kagan has like really awesome strategies. So you can look up Kagan strategies. All right, next slide. I think this is the last one. Flexible seating. Okay, this is the last one. Y'all, I love flexible seating. Now I know flexible seating can sometimes be more expensive. I know it can be sometimes more expensive, but and if you don't have, you don't have to have a lot of money for flexible seating. Sometimes I let them sit on the floor. Sometimes I do let them sit on the desks. Okay. I'm like, if it breaks, we'll just go get another one. And I mean, they're not like plopping down on the desk or whatever. But I love to let them do flexible seating because, again, it gives them that student choice. It gives them that student choice. I'm Honest Teacher Vibes on TikTok and Instagram. Somebody's asking in the comments. The strategies is called Kagan. I think it's Kagan. Kagan strategies. They have really good stuff. So flexible seating. Again, it allows them student choice. I love to do flexible seating during independent reading time. I mean, it just made my teacher heart so happy when I did flexible seating during independent reading time. And my kids would be like under the desks reading. They would be like in a corner reading. They'd be like laying on the floor looking up at the ceiling. I mean, it was just the cutest. I loved it so much. One of my kids, we had those dividers. We had those dividers that we use for testing. And she took like 5 of the dividers, and she just made her a fort like around her that made her feel like she was in a little castle while she was reading. It was really cool. So I try to make my classroom feel really welcoming, especially reading. You know how when we go to Starbucks to read sometimes. We'll go to local coffee shops, and it's because we like the ambiance in there. I feel like that when it comes to especially ELA and especially English, I want them to feel like they're in a coffee shop, or I want them to feel like I want them to feel like they're in a calm space where they can get their creativity flowing. They can, because they're doing a lot of writing, and so I feel like it helps, with creativity to let them sit wherever they want to. So these are my strategies on how to increase engagement in the classroom. Thank you. The Kagan online strategies.
Bree, that was incredible. Everyone in the chat just had such an amazing time with you. You are an absolute pleasure, an absolute treat. Guys, if you are not following Bree already, Honest Teacher Vibes on TikTok and Instagram, please do it now so you don't forget. Again, guys, a lot of questions about this session. It is completely recorded, so you're going to be able to watch that once we get all the links sent to you after the conference is done. We're going to go ahead and do some Q&A for about 10 minutes. So basically, Bree, one question is from Brianna Norris. She said, do your students know about your TikTok? Do they know about it?
Yes,
of course
they do.
Know.
So last year was at Christmas, when we got out for Christmas, I had like 40,000 followers. And when we came back from Christmas break, I hit 100K. And I remember telling my students, I said, y'all, oh my gosh, I hit 100K on TikTok. And my Tristan student, because everybody knows Tristan is like a representation of all the crazy boys in my class. That's my like main character or whatever. My Tristan student goes, who? I said, what do you mean who? Me. He goes, cares. I said, boy, do not say. He said, so then when I hit 200K, I was telling him I hit 200K. Oh my gosh. That same student, he goes, who? And like a dummy, I fell for it. I said, me. He goes, asked you. I said, why do you keep doing that, you little heckler? And he goes, well, Miss Richardson, when you get to I said, what number do I have to get to for you to stop doing that? He said, maybe when you get to like 1 million, I'll stop doing that. And I'm at 1 million, but he's not my student anymore. It's like so sad. But they do know about my TikTok, and they were so kind because they kind of watched my growth. And when we got to summer break, I think I was at like 500,000 when we got out for summer break, and they were so excited. I love them so much. So they do know, and they are some of my biggest supporters, and they know that they give me content. Somebody will do something in their class and they'll be like, you better stop before Miss Richardson put you on the TikTok.
Sorry, my dog is scratching my door. Did you use TikTok with any of your students? So I have a couple questions about like using it in your classroom or having your kids make TikToks. Is that something that you have been doing or you plan to do? What are your thoughts on that?
So I was not allowed to do that. Once I hit 100K, I could not record at school anymore. There were like some legal things, or not legal, but my principal pretty much was just like, as a way to protect yourself from trolls on the internet, maybe don't record at school anymore. And he was super, super kind about it. So TikTok is not necessarily something that I use during class. I haven't been able to figure out how to do that and still like be allowed to do that and not, be breaking any rules or whatever. But I did have a student comment on one of my TikToks at like 8:15 in the morning to let me know that she was going to be late for class. I said, did you seriously just comment on my TikTok to tell me you're going to be late for class? She said, when she came in, I said, did you comment on my TikTok to tell me you were going to be late for class? She said, yeah. I said, why? She said, because I knew you were going to be on there. And I was like, well,
True. Not a lie. Someone asked, what else can you do for classroom management and phones if your district doesn't allow for you to take them away? What do you think someone could do if you can't take them?
Well, first of all, I've never had to deal with that because we are allowed to take the kids' phones away. If you're not allowed to take phones away, I would write them up then. Because at the end of the day, and especially for first year teachers, at the end of the day, you are the authority in your classroom. These kids don't pay no bills. They can't wipe their butt if their mama didn't buy the toilet paper. So if you tell them to do something, that's insubordination and it's disrespect if you tell them to put their phone up and they don't put it up. Now, unfortunately, your district has really tied your hands if you cannot take cell phones up. That is absolutely terrible that they have that in place, but just know, best friend, you are the authority in your classroom and they have to respect you. If they're not going to respect, if I ask a student to put his phone up and he keeps pulling it out, if I can't take it, I'm sure as heck gonna write you up. And I'll write you up every single time you take it out until the district decides they want to do something. Because no, how am I supposed to teach if this kid keeps taking his cell phone out? No, ma'am. Okay, so as teachers, we got to stand up for ourselves sometimes because people will try to, throw us under the bus and treat us like doormats.
They will try every way possible.
They will.
I'm not sure if I missed this somewhere in what you were talking about, but Carrie asked, what are Kagan strategies? Is that something you brought up?
Yeah, so Kagan strategies are, I'm not like well versed in them. I've used like a couple of their strategies, but essentially they are strategies to help increase learning in your classroom. They're like collaboration strategies. They're classroom management strategies. Kagan is it has such a wide variety of things. The only thing that I use from Kagan is I'll use the Think, Pair, Share. I'll use the Four Corners. They just give you all those kind of strategies like that. They teach you how to group the kids to increase learning. They teach you some different strategies to also increase engagement. They have some really good.
Yeah, some people, some teachers are dropping into the chat. Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys are the best.
So, okay.
So an anonymous teacher said, icebreakers drive me and the kids nuts. Any fun things you do in lieu of icebreakers? So, you know,
yeah.
What do you
I can't stand icebreakers.
Same. I'm 100%. No one needs to know, you know, name of vegetable that starts with the first letter of your name. Like, no, thank you.
Nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to know that. Yeah, I don't ever. Are they talking about for the beginning of school?
Probably, like any fun things, because you know a lot of teachers are going to get caught up in this whole icebreaker vibe, and we just need to let them know, but you don't need it.
Don't do it. Oh, absolutely not. One of the things that I do give out a sheet to get to know my kids. So that's something they're doing individually because I want to know you. You know, I want to know your interests, what you like, what you don't like, what you're excited about. But I don't ever make them stand up and tell that in front of it. It's boring. So one of the ways that I break the ice with my kids, which is weird, I just get up there and act a fool. Like we talk, we laugh, we have a good time. Now my students, and they learn this early on. In room 305, we're going to laugh and we're going to have a good time because education shouldn't be boring. I don't like to be bored and I'm going to fall asleep if it's boring. But also, if we're going to have fun, y'all need to be able to